Welcome back, everyone. As you guys know, I'm reviewing a lot of stuff that I never got to cover on this channel. I kicked this off by talking about Sons of Anarchy, and then I decided to talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean films. Well, now we've reached the third film in the series, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. It's really interesting. When this film came out, it received a lot of backlash, a lot of mixed reviews, and even I had sort of lukewarm feelings when it came to this film. And I recently rewatched it. Actually, I rewatched it yesterday night, and I gotta say, man, my opinion has drastically changed. This is a fabulous movie. Again, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, because I will talk in detail about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. As you guys know, That Man's Chest ended with the death of Jack Sparrow. Well, he was basically pulled into Davy Jones' locker, and all of our remaining heroes decided to bring him back from the land of the dead. And surprise, surprise, Barbossa, of all people, was supposed to lead him there and now enter at World's End. First of all, what's really admirable about this film is the fact that Gore Verbinski, the director, who's also known for very graphic and disturbing horror movies. I mean, seriously, if you guys have never seen A Cure for Wellness, I highly recommend it. Another super underrated feature. This movie kicks off pretty dark, and especially dark for a Disney film, because the East India Trading Company, led by the villainous Cutler Beckett, they are basically now the main villain. It's no longer Davy Jones. It's them. Davy Jones is on their leash. Yeah, he's basically their hired gun because they threatened to kill him. They got the heart of Davy Jones. We all know that. James Norrington brought the heart of Davy Jones to Cutler Beckett. So now Davy Jones has to follow their every lead. And first thing they force him to do is kill his Kraken. And that's kind of dick. It's surprising to me that the real bad guys in the finale of the original run of these movies aren't some mystical creatures. It's not the cursed Davy Jones. No, it's just people. It's ridiculous. And they are coming after pirates with a vengeance. The film kicks off and we see them hanging a lot of people, including a little child. And I was like, whoa, that's super dark. I mean, this movie goes to some extremely dark places. A couple people get shot in the head, shot in the face. They hang a little kid. A dude gets strangled to death. And we all see that kind of stuff. I was like, this could have easily been an R-rated movie. Wow, I mean, Disney, back in the day, I guess they had cojones. I never saw it like that, but now rewatching it, that really caught me off guard. And it establishes the tone perfectly, because this one is supposed to be darker. I mean, we're basically fighting the monumental fight of the pirates' lifetime. Pirates are on the brink of extermination. And our remaining heroes and Barbossa, who interestingly enough in this film is an anti-hero, are trying to save Jack Sparrow. And this is where we run into some issues I have with the film, and I've had similar issues with part 2, That Man's Chest. It's the fact that they retcon some stuff, because by the end of That Man's Chest, it seemed like all of our heroes were hell-bent to save Jack Sparrow because they love him, they miss him, he's their friend, he's their maybe lover in terms of Elizabeth, and he's their captain in terms of Joshua M. Gibbs. In this film, however, we learned that every single character has his or her own motivation, and apparently Jack Sparrow is a pirate lord, so is Barbossa, and there are like 9 pirate lords that and they all need to come together in order to see how to approach the Eastern India Trading Company. And I was like, oh, that's new. And again, I hate it when they do that. I hate it when they throw new information at me in the final chapter of the series. That's something that was not really established in the previous films. Bitching aside, the intro of the film is badass. There's a lot of sword fighting. There's a lot of neat imagery. And once again, the set pieces, the camera work, the fantasy of Gore Verbinski is perfect. I mean, this is a beautifully looking film. If you haven't seen it in ages, my God, this movie has aged perfectly. It's Pirates of the Caribbean and the old Star Wars movies and even the new Star Wars movies. Those are like the only big franchise movies that I can think of that blend practical effects with CG perfectly. And this movie looks so beautiful. I just gotta admit, I also love the lore building, the way they actually achieve their goal to find Davy Jones' locker, everything that Jack goes through in there. And we gotta talk about the writing for most of these characters. First up, Will and Elizabeth. When they first brought him back in Dead Man's Chest, I was like, yeah, they brought him back because they were important in the first one and they were fan favorites, so now let's bring him back for no goddamn reason. In this film, however, they do have surprisingly amazing arcs. I mean, Elizabeth ends up being a pirate king, and Will becomes the next Davy Jones. That's fascinating to me. I praised Geoffrey Rush before when I talked about the original Curse of the Black Pearl, the first film within the series. I think part 3 has my favorite portrayal of the character because Barbossa kills it as an anti-hero. You can see that he's still kind of a dick. You can see that he still does not like Jack Sparrow whatsoever. But you also see that he's not evil in the traditional sense. He is able to work with others. He's able to accept other people. He's just a pirate. That's what he is. And the fact that he is the one that marries Will and Elizabeth is awesome. And he has some of the best action, and he takes part in some of the best action sequences within the film. And we got to talk about Jack Sparrow because the writing for him in this film is perfect Jack Sparrow writing. Why? Because he comes off as a mumbling douchebag, but he's actually brilliant. Everything that unravels, everything that unfolds is due to the cunningness of Jack Sparrow's nature. And what's also interesting is, I mean, that is something that I hated when I watched the movie back when it came out in theaters. Was the fact that all these characters seem to turn on one another. In this movie, however, it makes sense. Jack Sparrow has a plan. Everything is a means to an end. What he wants is to become the next Davy Jones. He wants to get rid of this asshole, and he wants to be the last pirate. He wants to live forever sailing the seas. And that is perfect Jack Sparrow writing. But at the same time, once he achieves this goal, due to a lot of backstabbing, due to fucking over Cutler Beckett, he can't do it because Davy Jones actually stabs Will Turner in the heart, and he knows if he won't let Will do it, Will will die. And that's not something that Jack wants. So he uses Will's hand in order to stab the heart, turning Will into the next Davy Jones, giving up his own dream while still remaining a pirate. That's perfect Jack Sparrow writing. And we gotta talk about the epic finale at the Maelstrom. I mean, that battle with the Dutchman versus the Black Pearl is epic. Even Davy Jones in this movie is far more interesting than he was in the first one. We learn about his relationship with Calypso, aka Tia Dalma. Yeah, it's actually her. How amazing is that? We learn that he's actually a tragic character. I mean, they already hinted at that in Dead Man's Chest, but they explore that way more in part 3. I was taken aback at how much I fell in love with this film. They totally won me over. I haven't watched it in years, and I gotta say, rewatching it now really put a big smile on my face. I was hesitant of even watching it because I remember it being a mixed bag. It's not. It's awesome. The finale is awesome. The writing is awesome. The characters are charming. The lore is expanded. I mean, the Brethren Court and Jack Sparrow's father, played by the one and only Keith Richards. That is fucking incredible, especially when you realize that Jack Sparrow, I mean, Johnny Depp actually based the character on Keith Richards. So the fact that Keith Richards is now in the movie playing Jack Sparrow's father, that in and of itself is fucking incredible. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End is one of those movies that that embodies epicness. It's basically an epic that caught me by surprise because I never considered the Pirates of the Caribbean movies to be epics. The first two films were adventures, pirate adventures, sometimes over convoluted pirate adventures. This film tries to go the Lord of the Rings route. I mean, it's not as epic, but you can definitely feel the inspiration. Obviously, there are a lot of Star Wars references. Once again, I mean, the film kicks off and the first thing we have to do, the first 30 minutes we do spend on trying to get Jack back. Very similar to Return of the Jedi, where they try to get Han back from Jabba's palace, because you have to get your pal back in order to enter the final adventure. Everything about this movie is awesome. I was so glad they brought Barbossa back. The banter between him and Jack is great. The banter between all these characters is great. The mythology got expanded. The lore is awesome. The scale is huge. Even the death sequence of Cutler Beckett is super earned. And they brought back James Norrington and ended his arc, which is fucking tragic. I gotta say, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End gets the gold medal. Yeah, I'm surprised to admit that, but this movie is way better than I thought. Yeah, I remember not liking it as much, but now rewatching it, it totally blew me away. I think it's not as good as the original, but it's way better than the second. So, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.